Welcome to Leaders of Enchantment podcast, hosted by Cameron Ward and Doug Campbell in New Mexico.
Today's podcast guest is someone who understands that leadership isn't just about building something big. It's about knowing when to pause, reflect, and return with even greater purpose. Vince Kadlubek is widely known as one of the visionary co-founders behind Meow Wolf, the immersive arts collective that began in Santa Fe and has since grown into a global creative phenomenon. But Vince's journey hasn't just been about expansion and success. In a powerful moment of self-awareness, he stepped away from leadership to focus on his mental health, reconnect with his motivation, and rediscover what it truly means to create with intention. That decision wasn't a step back, it was a step inward. Now Vince has returned with renewed clarity, continuing his role as a co-founder and creative force behind the movement that helped redefine immersive art. His story is one of vulnerability, resilience, and the courage to prioritize well-being while still holding space for imagination and innovation. Today we'll talk about creativity, mental health, and what it means to rebuild your purpose while continuing to shape the future of art and storytelling. Please join me in welcoming Vince Kadlubek. All right, Vince Kadlubek, welcome to Leaders of Enchantment podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Vince, this being a life and career journey style podcast, we'll obviously get into that. But first things first, what do you do today?
Oh, gosh, I read a lot of emails and I sit in a lot of meetings and I, try to anchor to belief as much as I possibly can throughout the day. But no, I'm Chief Vision Officer of Meow Wolf. So I'm one of the members of the executive team, and I'm focused primarily on projects for Meow Wolf that are outside the core, the core product. So outside of the exhibition development themselves, I'm thinking about reinvestment into existing exhibitions, expanding the Meow Wolf universe in other forms like traditional media forms, video games, podcasts, graphic novels, animated series, stuff like that. I'm very focused on the brand of Meow Wolf and how the brand can express itself and just be relevant out in the world and how we can have fun with this company that we've created. And then I also think a lot about what our voice is on social media and on the internet and how we connect with fans, stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Got it.
yeah, that's kind of, so much of my work is about focusing 5 years from now and thinking about how all the different aspects of Meow Wolf integrate into a single project, into a single product, I guess you could say, a single expression.
Okay.
Even if it's across all different forms, how does it all come together?
Got it.
And so, and then pointing and helping to lead the rowing of all of those things towards that point in the future.
Marshaling resources, as the kids like to say.
Yeah, and enrolling in vision.
Yeah.
I mean, vision officer is like a funny title. It's very like woo-woo, whatever. But there's some real truth to it. Like I am trying to coagulate vision of where we're going and then phase ourselves towards that. So
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get to the I want to unpack the story of how you got there.
Cool.
So let's start from the beginning. You are a New Mexico kid, correct?
I am New Mexico born and raised.
Whereabouts?
Santa Fe, New Mexico, right next to Santa Fe High, middle of town, humble beginnings.
Santa Fe High graduate?
Yeah, year 2000, barely.
Year 2000.
Yeah,
Okay.
last day of the year, I had to go in for an English test to pass my English, my
As a
English
senior?
class. Yes, like a week before graduation, and so I barely
So it
got
was-
through.
It was touch and go there.
It was
whether
very
you-
touch and go.
Whether you were gonna get your
Yeah.
diploma.
Yeah, and if I didn't get my diploma, I was not going to go back to get it. Like, no, I was this close to dropping out of high school for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up just a moment. So if you graduated in 2000, that means you were a Santa Fe kid growing up,
Yep.
late 80s, early 90s. What was Santa Fe like then?
Santa Fe to me back then was quite boring, right? Like growing up as a kid, I mean, it's like, what do we have to do? We could go to the bowling alley. I mean, as a teenager,
You got these big mountains in your backyard.
I know. And for whatever reason, I did not explore the trails. I did not get out. Like, what's amazing to me is how much Santa Fe and New Mexico at large has actually like revealed itself, continues to reveal itself over the many years that I've been here. But now as a kid, it's tough. It was tough. But I played sports. I played tennis. I played basketball. Like,
For high school?
yeah.
Okay.
In high school, and
Okay.
in my high school years, it's like Santa Fe's fun because like you're finding little hidden spots, and you're hotboxing with your friends, and you're like just sort of like lookout spots, and just finding little desert raves, and it's all these like secret little desert zones that you end up falling into, and
No, I get it.
and partying basically. So
Yeah.
yeah, lots of partying.
Yeah. Okay. What your family story? What did you? So you were born in Santa Fe. What'd your folks do?
Yeah, my mom is also from Santa Fe. So my mom
Oh, okay.
grew up in Tesuque.
She did. Okay.
Yeah, just north of Santa Fe.
Okay.
And she went back east to go to school, and she met my dad in outside of Pittsburgh in a small little town called Latrobe.
Okay.
And so that's where my dad's from. And so they met at college, and then she drug him back out here, or dragged him back. Maybe she didn't drug him. She dragged him back here. And maybe she drugged him. I don't know.
She
but-
drugged and dragged him.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was convinced to move to the desert. And then, yeah, they're both Santa Fe public school teachers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. So you grew up with public school
Big
teacher
time.
parents.
Big time. Big public
What was
school
that
energy.
like? Was it strict? Was it Vince? Did you do your homework?
Yeah.
A lot of that?
Yeah, I always said like, my mom was my 7th grade New Mexico history teacher.
She was.
So it's like, and what I've always said is like, she was my mom at school, and she was my teacher
Vince, I don't know if I would have liked that.
at home. It was tough. Yeah, it was tough.
I coached my kids' soccer team for one season. I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah. And my dad was my 7th grade basketball coach. So yeah, it was it was a whole family affair. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were a little bit into sports,
For sure.
little rambunctious is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Closeted gay kid.
Oh, really? Okay. Didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was also rough, being like a jock in northern New Mexico, and also being secretly gay.
When did that realization hit you? I'm this thing
I mean,
people refer to as gay.
I was like 12 years old, and I was like watching all the like, talk shows in the 90s, like, Maury Povich and Montel Williams or whatever. And it was like such a drama, right? It was like,
If someone were gay.
oh my God, like my brother is gay or whatever. It's like in the 90s, that's how it was, right? And so I remember watching that and being like,
It was getting a
whoa.
little bit more mainstream in the 90s.
It was getting mainstream. Like RuPaul was like getting big in the 90s.
Grace.
Yeah, this was like a little bit before Will and Grace,
Okay.
but yeah. So I was like, I realized back then, like, oh, I am this thing, and the world thinks that this thing is shocking.
Huh. And you were 12?
Yeah. I mean, I've always known that I've known about my sexuality since I was like a child. Like since
Well before 12.
I was like I had a crush on He-Man and Barney Rubble, for that matter. Like Barney Rubble was my first crush.
I mean, can't go wrong with the Flintstones.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so, and then special kind of like thing to be a jock, in northern New Mexico,
Would
to
you
navigate
think-
that.
Was Santa Fe a little bit more accepting of that? Because I was here in Albuquerque at the same time.
Probably a little bit more.
Okay.
But honestly, like that day, kind of that day and age is all still taboo or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, that didn't really define me too much. Like I I was an outcast. I felt outcasted.
You were.
Yeah, and like I didn't want to show it.
Legitimate discrimination.
Well, not like that. Like there wasn't that kind. I was like outcasted myself, right? It was like my own doing, but
As a protective measure?
I was I was socially awkward. I couldn't, I wasn't connected to my authentic self. I was, I wanted to try to game the system. I didn't want to, like, first day of school every year, I would go and talk to my teachers at Santa Fe High and negotiate with them. I'd be like, I was like, here's the deal. I'm not going to show up to school. What do I have to do to get a passing grade, like a D? I'm okay graduating with straight Ds. What do I have to do to get a D?
D's equals degrees.
Yeah, in your class without showing up. And they would literally negotiate. They'd be
How
like,
would those conversations go?
they didn't want to have them, but I was like, look, this is the reality. Like, I'm going to drop out if I, like, so like we can figure
So they
this
would
out.
engage.
They'd engage. So they'd be like, okay, you have to show up once a week. You have to do these homework assignments. You have to do these projects. Like, they'd give me a list of the things that I have to do to get a passing grade.
And that's how you got all the way through and got your diploma.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, classic entrepreneurial spirit. It was a classic,
Fair
like,
enough.
Entrepreneurs are not able to work within defined systems very well.
Yeah.
I oftentimes say that, like, we probably have a wealth of incredible entrepreneurs in our state that are locked up behind bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would agree with that.
They're probably really good drug dealers. Like, they're probably making money on the street, right? Like, and if you could just get to them, if you can kind of get to them and be like, hey, actually, your brain is really well oriented towards starting businesses and, like, creating jobs and, like, doing stuff on the up and up. And if we, there's, like, that spirit is the same spirit. Like, you're trying to, like, you're trying to kind of break through the bounds. And as long as you can do it legally, then it's all good, right?
Yep.
So Vince, I have to chime in. Kind of getting into the swing of, like, okay, so you're not doing too great in school, but you have a big group of friends, or your social, like, what is your friendship wise look like in your?
Got a few friends who were on the tennis
Okay.
team.
So a lot
we
of
played tennis
jock-
together and video games. And
kids as well, or creative kids?
not really creative yet.
Okay.
So, I mean, creative in our own way, but no, I didn't really get into art, like the arts or understand really the power of the creative until right after I got out of high school.
Okay.
I delivered newspapers for the Santa Fe New Mexican. So I'd be up at,
Right after graduation?
yeah. So I'd be up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting to pick up the papers to then deliver.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I kind of started my career that way too.
Nice.
I started delivering newspapers at like 6 a.m. for the Daily Lobo newspaper,
Yeah.
which was a good in, right?
Yeah.
Did you say so yourself?
It was cool. Yeah. And like the big thing for me though was like being up at night, and there was a show on 770 KKOB on AM radio called Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. And this was a wild show that dealt with paranormal happenings, extraterrestrial activity, but one of his guests, so he would deal in all these like weird things. And one of his guests though was this guy named Terrence McKenna. Terrence McKenna is a philosopher, poet, psychonaut, explorer of the realms of psilocybin and DMT. And he's a big thinker when it comes to art and creativity and the future state of the human experience, and the importance of creativity to the future state of human experience. So I was 19 years old listening to this guy, and I was just like sold. I was like, oh my gosh, this is ringing so true to me right now. And I kind of dedicated then my life to like diving into and empowering the creative realm.
So that was an epiphany.
Yeah. Yeah. Big influence for me.
Interesting.
And I started to like I didn't know how to. So I was like, I had a couple friends, one guy named Nick Toll, who became a key figure in Meow Wolf. And then this other, he was 16, 17 at the time. And then this other uh, rock and roll guitarist guy, John Gee. And they were kind of my sort of liaisons into the world of art and creativity and the artistic mindset. They sort of took me under their wing and sort of introduced me to the
Vince,
creative community.
up until this point, you had expressed no interest in high school. You weren't playing around with watercolors. You weren't.
I loved film. So
Okay.
like, you know, American Beauty and Boogie Nights and Pulp
Sure.
Fiction and
The classics.
Darren Aronofsky, Pi and Requiem, like all these like films I was like super into. But no, like other than that, like visual arts, I wasn't at all connected to.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so I guess in the interest of time, is it fair to say you were just kind of bouncing around Santa Fe for a number of years in the 2000s?
Yep.
And as you started to coalesce around like-minded folks and
Yeah, I didn't know that this is what I was doing. Somebody gave me this term recently, but there was I was learning how to do social sculpture. So I was
hold on, social sculpture.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to define that.
bringing people together.
Social sculpture.
Yeah, bringing people together
Just
to
throwing
do
people in a room
to do stuff.
and see what happens.
Yes, and
Okay,
and
I like
like
that.
creating parameters for certain social environment, like creating social environments for certain social activities to happen within. So like I transformed my first apartment into an immersive, like a crazy psychedelic immersive experience. So like I just like put fabric all over the walls. I was 19 years old, and like fabrics and Christmas lights and black light paint and fluorescent lights and down comforters and feather beds everywhere. Like I turned my house into a weird rave house, and then would facilitate and invite people over to party in. But then also we would do like weird social things together. Like we would choose one word to repeat in unison for an entire hour. Be like, okay, we're going to do an hour and we're just going to say the word like, you know, prosperous in unison for an hour.
An
like-
entire group of people is saying prosperous.
Or something like that. Like, yes, like,
Almost like similar to like the comedy shows where it's like you choose one song
Yeah.
and like you have to create a whole skit
Totally.
towards it. That's cool.
yeah, like doing like weird, very odd improv games
Improv, there we go.
with each other
Mhm.
and just kind of like testing the boundaries of what it meant to be a social group. And that kind of turned into doing experimental theater and like writing plays for the stage, but like really weird plays, and doing that with a group of friends. And then that turned into, so we called ourselves Epileptic Pterodactyl. That was the performance troupe, was Epileptic Pterodactyl.
Okay, so before we get too deep into it,
Okay, yeah.
hold on, take a step back. Is this end of high school, beginning of college?
No college.
No college.
No college
So
for me.
end of high school.
The years right after high school. Exactly.
Okay. What were your parents thinking? Were you still living at home?
No.
No, you were out.
Yeah. My
After
parents.
high school.
My parents thought they basically were like, they're like, whatever Vince wants to do, Vince will do.
our best.
Okay.
We did our best, and Vince is going to do what Vince does. I mean, an amazing props to them, because like they were there for me, but they let me make my own mistakes. And I'm sure they were worried sick at certain moments.
I guarantee they were.
Yeah. But they kind of had a really amazing perspective of like, Vince will figure this out. And I barely did.
So there were some times where your parents were maybe worried of
Oh, yeah.
like, how is he making money? Were you making money during this time? Were you having a separate job on the?
Yeah, I worked night audit at various hotels. I also was like a server and a busser at restaurants, classic like Santa Fe hospitality stuff.
Yeah.
And then on the side, I was also shoplifting and selling shoplifted
Shoplifting.
goods. Yeah. So
I think the statute of limitations has expired.
I got arrested.
good.
Yeah, I got arrested twice for shoplifting, both misdemeanors. But they were right on the edge of not being misdemeanors. And All of this is disclosed. It's disclosed to all of our investors. Like, it's in,
Okay. If your history comes up,
yeah.
your investors know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, like my parents were like, they would have to pick me up from jail. They'd bail me out of jail. And like,
Oh my goodness.
it's stupid stuff. Like I was a reckless 20-something for sure.
But you were paying your own rent, so it was like,
I was paying my own rent and like, and so like all of this was also to help fund the parties and the projects. And we would do these plays, at Warehouse 21, Teen Art Center, big part of our upbringing in Santa Fe. Like Warehouse 21 was a magical place that was
where you and your friends would come together.
yeah, like, and where we'd do some of these plays or where we'd throw parties. It's just like, Warehouse 21 was a teen art center that was a music venue and a lot of programming. And it was like an amazing environment for us all to learn when I say us all, I mean like all the Meow Wolf founders and stuff, to learn how to make stuff, how to like do DIY projects, like do it yourself projects, right? And so Epileptic Pterodactyl would perform various weird freaky experimental theater stuff. And that kind of ran its course around 2000.
Did you get the domain name?
Oh man, I know. I should go back on. I know. It's a good one.
Guarantee it's gone.
It's probably gone for sure.
You have to buy it for like $1,000 a month now.
Yeah. But that ended around 2008, and then we kind of immediately then turned into Meow Wolf. The Meow Wolf thing kind of emerged out of the same social group that Epileptic Pterodactyl.
The original 6 people, 6, 7?
There was about 10 of us in the first meeting when we all got together and said, like, are we going to pitch money to renting this warehouse? And if so, what are we going to call it? And so we all agreed, yes, we'll pitch $100 a month to rent this warehouse, and we're going to call ourselves Meow Wolf. There was about 10 people in that room, in that first room.
Vince, where'd the name come from?
We pulled it out of 2 hats.
Literally.
So
you wrote down random words, you dumped them into 2 hats.
Yep.
Kind of playing
You shuffled them about,
Yep.
and then you pulled out 2.
That's right.
almost
Meow and Wolf.
That's exactly it.
almost similar to like your improv stage, as of where you would kind of pick words.
Yeah, there's something very special about the improv space. It's like you're kind of just like diving into the unknown and pulling from the spontaneity of possibility, and you're kind of with the spirit of spontaneity. And so, yeah, our name came out of a hat in a very improv way. We call it Exquisite Corpse. It's a style of art that sort of is like, it's sort of just like responding to the moment in a way. And like, it's very Dada-ish, which is, an art movement that we are from, that we're like we're from that spirit of Dada. But yeah, it's like, that's how our name came to be.
Tell us about the early days of Meow Wolf.
It was like we had our own space. We could do whatever we wanted. We would just like staple gun whatever kind of materials to the walls, and we would go dumpster diving at Salvation Army and just like pull out. Like,
was it just for you? Just your friend group?
No.
To enjoy? You would open to the public?
Open to the public. We wanted to produce things and then invite people in.
Okay.
Whether they were like music shows, punk shows, hip hop shows, dance parties, or like weird like poetry nights, or these immersive exhibitions. Like we would work on these exhibitions, and then we would invite the public to explore these exhibitions. And it was disgusting. It was materials that we pulled out of dumpsters. It was, the floors were dirty. It was, you could still smell the smell of spray paint everywhere. And like, we'd ask people to like crawl around on the floor and stuff, and they would do it. And we just explored this medium of immersive art together. Yeah.
Vince, I hate to have to ask this question. Was there a business model?
No.
Okay, absolutely not.
We had zero interest. We would beg people to donate money at the door. Right.
That was your business model.
Yeah, like here's a cardboard box. There's a hole cut out at the top. Yeah.
It was a pass the hat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And I suspect at some point that proved unsustainable.
It started to shift like in a few years after. So we started Meow Wolf in 2008. And then in 2010, we did 2 things. We started to throw dance parties at the VFW where there was a bar and where we could actually charge admission to the dance party. And these dance parties were called Superpowered Dance Destroyer. And they became these huge hit parties where we'd have a line out the door and we'd sell 300 tickets and we'd pack the place. And the people at the VFW were like, what is going on? But then they were happy because they're selling drinks at their bar, so they're fine. And we had this one person named Maria who, God bless her, she was our champion at the VFW. She's like this badass pool player who's also like, you know, deep VFW. And she was our champion, man. She would just be like, no, they're cool. You got to let them stay. They're doing good things. They're cool. And
By the way, is there only one VFW in Santa Fe?
Yeah.
Okay, so shout out to the VFW in Santa Fe. What's the woman's name again?
Maria. Yeah, Maria is still
there.
Shout out to Maria.
Maria's a shit. And Maria has a grandson now who is
What's his name?
an amazing artist. His name is Troy. And he's an amazing artist at like 12 years old. And he loves Meow Wolf. And so shout out Maria, shout out Troy. Like, they're still big fans, which is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But we would, we'd make money. So that started to teach us about business.
Got it.
How do we budget? How much do we pay the DJs? How much do we need to charge at the door, right? What do we do with the profits? Like, that all helped us understand that like there was a good reason to try to make money because we could then pay rent. We could then like maybe even pay ourselves for working the party. Like, there was a opportunity here, so.
I have to chime in. So
Yeah.
how long after did it take for you to give yourself a little bit of return?
We, like, the dance parties are good examples. Like, we would pay ourselves, if we made enough, we would pay ourselves for like setting up the lights, for running the door, for DJing, right? Small amount. And then we did a big project in 2011 that was, we built this giant boat called the Do Return. And it was a 2-story, 2 floors, 70 feet long, 30 feet wide boat. And it was awesome. And we charged money for that. And
Did this boat float in water?
no, it just sat inside of a warehouse.
Okay.
That's an art piece. Yeah, good question. Very good question. Clarifying question. And we charged money for that, and we ended up making a decent amount. And that also started to help us pay for the projects moving forward and be able to pay ourselves. But it was like barely.
Okay.
It was like
So I'm sure it was like some motivation.
super minimal. Yeah.
But also you were getting a lot of maybe internal motivation from the community because they were
Oh my
loving it.
gosh. The community in Santa Fe and in Albuquerque. Like, we worked with the Albuquerque Museum.
Okay.
And they did a whole kids program, a high school program with us, and they loved us. And yeah, the community in Santa Fe was like always like championing Meow Wolf and always on our side. Like, it's been amazing how uplifted we've been by the entire state of New Mexico. Like, we went down to New Mexico State and did a whole project in New Mexico State in 2012. Got money from New Mexico State and like worked with their students and like.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's amazing how much of the state propped us up, even when we were totally illegitimate and informal, right? They were just like, they saw the energy and they're like, let's support.
Well, Vince, that begs a question. Could Meow Wolf had happened anywhere else?
So I say this all the time. No,
It had to be Santa Fe,
had to
New
be,
Mexico.
had to be northern New Mexico.
Okay. Okay.
Santa Fe, it had to be either Santa Fe or Albuquerque or somewhere in there for sure.
Got it.
Because like in LA, we would have been one of
You'd have been
a
lost in the
million.
noise.
Yeah, New York, we couldn't afford it. Like,
Yeah.
Someplace like Portland, Santa Fe just has the right kind of weirdness to it, right? Like, it's special.
And acceptance.
What I've been saying is that Santa Fe itself, all of northern New Mexico, Rio Grande Valley, Espanola, Taos, Santa Fe, Poake, Tesuque, Abiquiu. Oh my gosh, Abiquiu. Like, all the way down to Albuquerque. Like, the whole region is magic. Meow Wolf is just one small part of that magic. Like, we came from the magic that was already here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about the transition of Meow Wolf to sustainable, legitimate business.
We did.
Eventually, it had to outgrow
They had to.
your cast of characters.
Yeah.
And even too, you started with 10, then I think I heard it was now you have 500 employees.
We have almost 1,000 employees now.
Wow, so it's grown tremendously.
Yeah, it's gone into so many ebbs and flows of how many people are involved and what kind of role they have and stuff. But we did the boat, and it was successful. We were not a business. I literally had like $100,000 in cash in shoe boxes underneath my bag at the time. Waiting to figure out what we were going to do with it. We didn't want to open a bank account because we were like nervous about it all. And we then started to work on sort of what our next big project would be. And it took a while. It was like 4 years before we really landed on something. And in those 4 years, people grew tired and old, and we could no longer do the Meow Wolf project. Like everybody kind of moved away from it. Because we were now in our 30s and it wasn't paying the bills. Mm-hmm. And we had to put our energy towards other things in life, right? So, and there was a handful of us who still went to meetings and still continued the belief that this thing could be a thing. And that's when we started to think about a real business plan. It was like 2014. We said, what if we did something bigger than the boat? And this time, what if it was permanent? And what if we really did charge an actual admission price? And what if we started a business? And so we put together a business plan, and 6 of us agreed to move this towards a business. And we stacked hands. We said, why would we do this? We want to do this because we want to create jobs. Like,
really?
That's it. Like, it
was economic development.
It for sure was, but it was more about community sustainment. Like, all of our friends who were artists were moving away. Mm. They were moving to Portland. They were moving to San Francisco.
Chasing a dollar?
Because Santa Fe couldn't sustain them. Yeah. Like, there wasn't an industry for them here. There wasn't a social scene for them here anymore. There wasn't they couldn't really be artists here in Santa Fe. They couldn't have an art career. So we were like,
well, hold on a second. That doesn't make sense to me. Santa Fe's an art community.
Gallerists can
different.
Yeah.
Kind.
The artists themselves, especially younger artists.
Yeah.
Younger artists, yeah. Anywhere. It's not just Santa Fe. It's hard to have an art career for, if you're in your 20s or 30s anyway. But yeah, so we said, if we could create 30 jobs for our core artist team, then we would consider this to be a success.
So that was the motivation.
Yeah. And then so now to look at it, and like you said, now to look at it and be like, okay, we have 400 full-time jobs in Santa Fe, and we have another 600 jobs across all of our exhibitions. Like, we have far surpassed what we had hoped, Totally. Yeah, it's crazy.
Was there a catalyst that sort of came together and helped sort of a shot in the arm?
George R. R. Martin. Yeah, the author of Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones guy.
Game of Thrones guy.
Okay.
At the peak of Game of Thrones popularity too, the Red Wedding had just happened. Season 3, season 4 era.
I remember.
Twitter's ablaze, right? George is like...
And it was Twitter.
Yeah, and it's Twitter. Exactly. I still call it Twitter. And yeah, it was and George is a resident in Santa Fe, and I knew him from a job that I had at a movie theater that he owns. And
is that movie theater still open?
Yeah, the Jean Cocteau.
Oh, no
It's a
way.
cool spot. Yeah, he's got a movie theater. He's got a bar, a little secret bar called the Milk of the Poppy. He's got a comic book shop.
Is that his primary residence, is Santa Fe?
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's full-time. He's been a full-time Santa Fe resident for 30 years or something like that.
I did not know that.
Do you remember your exact pitch on how you essentially started sparking the idea of Meow Wolf?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when I applied to work at the movie theater, I was really surprised that the person who was going to interview me for this job was going to be George R. R. Martin himself, right? So when I learned that, I was like, okay, I I brought in all the Meow Wolf material that I could find, like pictures
Did you
of the.
create it like a presentation?
No, they're all
Physical?
it's all physical stuff. So
Okay.
like we had like documentation of the boat. We had this book that we had made for the boat project, and I brought that. And I just it's like I was interviewing for the movie theater job, but I was planting the seed for him that I was part of this thing called Meow Wolf, and that Meow Wolf's really cool, you know. And he totally grew an interest to it. And it wasn't till a year later that I then pitched him on the bowling alley and the House of Eternal Return project that we have. And yeah, I walked into his office and I was like, okay, George, there's a bowling alley. It's empty. We're going to build a house. It's going to be like a Victorian house. A family lives in it. And then we're going to build secret passageways in that house. And the secret passageways will lead to a whole nother realm. And it's all going to be this like science fiction fantasy story, like Coraline. I even referenced Coraline. The movie. And I didn't know that he was friends with the person who created Coraline.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So as I was, pressing all his buttons, and he bit at it.
And what some people sometimes may not remember is that Meow Wolf actually has a mystery story within itself.
Yeah.
Is that idea that was already the idea to kind of bring that in early stages of Meow Wolf,
Yeah.
or did it just sort of sizzle out?
Yeah, no, we had our very first exhibition we ever did as a group back in 2008 was called Biome Nero Norb. And it was about a group of earthlings who packaged up all the trash from Earth and traveled across the solar system to populate another planet.
And this is the backstory.
Yeah.
The mystery.
Of the yeah, and then build their new world out of the trash of Earth. So we had that backstory for that first project. The Do Return, the boat was a boat that traversed time and space and would randomly slip into other time spaces. Whenever the crew would drink this drink called Norwegian Rot, they would all have a collective psychedelic experience, and then the boat would move into a whole nother world. So like we always carried these stories with us.
You could almost see a resemblance to like your younger self and, creating improv,
Yeah.
like trying different avenues. I gotta ask, is this similar? Does this story kind of evolve throughout the different locations for Meow Wolf?
Yeah, each location's its own story,
Okay.
its own world, you could say. And then all of the worlds are within the same universe. So we're learning about our universe. Like we're not just architects of the Meow Wolf universe.
Hold on a second. When you say our universe,
Yeah.
do you literally mean humanity's universe?
Both.
Or Meow Wolf's universe?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
I think we're actively learning about both, but primarily I'm talking about the Meow Wolf universe, like the fictional universe.
Okay.
Though being employees of Meow Wolf, like we're constantly learning about the non-fictional Meow Wolf universe, like what is our company and what do we stand for, and
We need a mission, vision, values statement.
Totally.
And a human resources department.
yes, like that's a non-fictional side of the Meow Wolf universe that is also very real for us. But we are not just architects of our story world or our story universe. We are also archaeologists simultaneously of our story universe. So we're uncovering
You're unearthing.
what is up and learning about it as we go. Like we'll find something in our universe and be like, oh, that's actually this over here. Like, and we'll start to connect the dots of what this universe is. It's a wild process.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Building and growing as you go, even for yourself too.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you see Meow Wolf. I mean, Meow Wolf is an exported New Mexico product. Do you think about that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Take a lot of pride in that.
Absolutely. I take a lot of pride that we are an exported product and that we are still headquartered here, right? There's a lot of things that started in Albuquerque, but then left Albuquerque, right? Or started in Mexico.
Microsoft.
That's like big one.
Bezos and Amazon.
Yeah, those are big ones, right? And I think that I think about that all the time.
Okay.
And we're genuine, we're true to the spirit. I think we're true to the spirit of Santa Fe, true to the spirit of New Mexico in that way. And super proud that this soil in this state produced this export, Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, from what I have read too, you kind of stepped back from the position. It was 2010.
Yeah.
You wanted to see more of your values. What was your mindset when you officially kind of
Stepped
step
out.
back? Yes.
So 2019.
Okay.
Oh, well, there's
Was it
there's a couple moments. So I came back into the art collective back in 2010 but I think more significantly for this conversation, I was CEO as we started the business
Mhm.
and in Santa Fe. And I raised the money for that project and helped to set up operations and then bought the production facility that we still own in Santa Fe, and then started to sign leases in Denver and in Vegas, build the team, and then continue to raise more money. Because it was like the whole thing was just like, it costs a lot of money, and these projects in Denver and Vegas cost a lot of money. So I had to go out and raise a lot of money. And upon completion of our Series A, which is the largest round of capital that any company in New Mexico has ever raised, I was overwhelmed. I was filled with anxiety and trauma. I was an immature person that did not have the emotional intelligence that was needed for a CEO to run a company of that size. And
if you raised a Series A, you were a venture deal.
It was a private equity deal.
It was a private equity deal.
Luckily, we found an evergreen private equity firm that does not need a 5-year turnaround, a 5-year return.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll hold if they need to hold, and they want a company to mature organically and appropriately. Right.
Got it.
Very lucky, amazing group. They're called Invest. They're from New York, and they are an amazing group. We lucked out, and so I stepped down though because I just was not the right person for the job. I could recognize that. The chairman.
Did that happen right away, or
It happened pretty quickly.
I mean, was it, hey, take a look in the mirror?
Yeah.
Take a long, hard look in the mirror?
Yeah. I just was unable to. I was at my wit's end with myself, if that makes sense. Like I was reaching.
What was your emotional state like? I mean,
Triggered.
This was your baby.
Yeah. No, I was like, I felt like I was drowning underneath the complexities of my own doing. Right.
So ultimately, you concluded this was the right thing to do, both for Meow Wolf as well as for Vince.
Yeah. I'd have weekly calls with our new investor, with the chairman who made the call to do the investment. Right. I'd have weekly calls with him, and he would ask me after every call, or pretty much anytime I asked him a question, he would pose back to me, "I don't know, Vince, what's best for the company? You have to think about what's best for the company."
Yeah.
And then at one point, I was just like, what's best for the company is for me to not run the company. That's actually what's best for the company right now.
Do you think you made that decision yourself?
Yes.
You did.
Fully, 100%. 100%.
What type of advice would you give to someone who's also maybe going through that right now in their time? What would you say?
Yeah, for a startup founder, CEO type person, I think that, well, first of all, advice that I'd give to an entrepreneur is that you have to believe in the unbelievable, and you have to be so committed to the project that you're working on that you have to love the project that you're working on. And in order to love a project, you have to understand it as fully as possible. So the higher fidelity you have of the project or company that you're trying to launch, the more fidelity you have, the more details you have imagined, the more you can love it. And if you love it, then of course you want to wake up every day and make it happen. And you actually don't care whether it happens or not. Like, you want it to happen, but you care, but you just love it, and that you have to work from that place. Now, you might get to a point where you know you don't love it anymore. And you have to recognize that if you don't love it and you're at the top of the organization and you don't like deeply love this thing, you got to step back. Similar. I would say it's similar.
Different from burnout?
And I don't think that burnout has to mean step down, right? I think that I wish I had better self-awareness at the time to seek other support and to, to find the right professional help, to have the right mentors, to, have the right tools within myself to navigate. But yeah, I think oftentimes it's really easy just to allow for the pressures of a business to overtake our entire lives.
So this was early 2000, what,
This
2019?
was 2019, right before COVID. So weirdly, it's like
You picked up.
What is that? What is COVID like for Meow Wolf?
It
What
was-
does that look like?
it was rough. Like, we closed the round of capital in 2019. I stepped down in November. COVID happens in February, March, right?
Yep.
And so it was rough. Like, we had to shut down the Santa Fe exhibition. The realities were we had to lay off a lot of people, friends, people who had worked with us forever. Like, it was the most devastating time.
So during COVID, did you kind of step back in? How long was your...
I was on the board. I remained on the board the whole time, but I was not a day-to-day person at the company.
How big is your board today?
It was 7 or 8 people.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not on the board anymore, but
So what did the company do during COVID? Because basically revenue dried up.
revenue dried up. We had to close down Santa Fe exhibition.
Go into hibernation mode.
But here's the thing: is we were lucky enough to have an investment group that had just invested in us, and wanted to continue to invest in us, and wanted to make Denver happen, and wanted to make Vegas happen, and so they were there.
So they were pedal to the metal.
Continue building those exhibitions even during COVID. So we had an entire production facility that was continuing to work during COVID. It was amazing. I mean, had we not landed that investment group in 2019, Meow Wolf
would have never happened.
They would have died during COVID.
So in a way, it kind of blessed a lot of a big part of your core. I'm sorry, Meow Wolf.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was critical to Meow Wolf's success. Like, of course, like we wouldn't be here today if we didn't have the partners that we have, for sure.
That's awesome. I assume those guys are still on the cap table.
Oh yeah. They're big. They're big partners of ours. They believe in us long term, and we're now building out Los Angeles, and we're building out New York, and those are the projects that they're focused on. From their perspective as financiers, making sure that those are great projects, and that's what we're up to these days.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's definitely a huge transition. You came back after COVID, exited the board. You're still a part of the board?
No, not part of the board.
Okay.
I left. I stepped down from the board about a year and a half ago, at the same time that I took a chief officer position as chief vision officer. So now I'm back at the company full time as part of the executive team. I report into our interim CEO, Rebecca Campbell. And
how does one, kind of develop and kind of bring in more people from board to chief officer to how do you pitch yourself to and now stepping back into it?
I mean, I just try to work as hard as I can. Like, I don't know, I care a lot about the entire health of the entity known as Meow Wolf. And, I work many hours a week and, many hours a day. And I'm just trying to push towards health in all respects, financial health, cultural health, the health of the brand, the health of the, why we're doing this, the mission. Like, there's many different pieces, and it's hard for them all to be healthy at the same time, but that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
One question we like to pose to folks after these conversations is go back in time. Give yourself some advice. So let's go back to senior year, Santa Fe High School. You've got to go back and, what'd you say, take a English test or something?
Yep.
Give high school senior Vince some life advice.
I mean, I think that's hard. I would just, things can change. The moment you're in is not the moment you're in forever. That things can change.
Okay.
And
So be adaptable.
that would have, well, just know that this is not forever, and
Good or bad.
good or bad. And, and it's like, I probably could have saved myself a lot of anxiety and a lot of pain had I known, like, oh, things can be different. Like, I can do things for myself or for people around me or for my life, that will over time get me out of this scenario that I'm in or whatever, and yeah, it's probably what I would share.
Okay.
That's some great advice. Okay, so to end the podcast, we're going to take a little turn
Okay.
into playing a new little game, the Entrepreneur's Crossroads. So I'll give you 2 real-world creative scenarios, and you choose one, or say, like, it depends sort of
Okay.
scenario. So the first one, a stable corporate contract that pays well but limits your creative control. Or would you choose a risky independent project that fully aligns with your long-term vision but has no guaranteed income? What would you choose?
If I'm me in this scenario, then I would absolutely choose the risky
please.
independent. I also think it's like depends on where I'm at in my life. Like, if I'm 20 or 30 years old, then sure, like I have some space there to be able to do the risky and independent thing. But if I'm 40 or 50 and I need healthcare and I need some stability and I'm trying to work towards retirement, then maybe I take the stable one, right? Like, but
Okay. It really depends on the person, your needs.
yeah. Oh, but for me, of course, like I would absolutely go all in on the
At
crazy
which
idea.
stage of your career would you choose the opposite?
At what stage would I choose the opposite?
If you were to go like,
I'm 43 right now, and I think I'm currently choosing the more stable corporate job. It just happens to be Meow Wolf. There's a lot of risky, weird, independent things that I could be doing in my life, but I'm choosing a stable corporate job at
okay.
Meow Wolf.
Okay. Next one we have expand quickly, bring on investors, and grow nationally. Or would you stay intentionally small, community rooted, and personally involved in every detail?
Now at this point, again, it's funny because it's just like where I'm at now. Where I'm at now is I would like be a little bit slower with the growth, give up less of the, like prove things out, have more attention to detail, try to be more, diligent with the concept before scaling. But thank God we scaled at the level we did, because if we hadn't, COVID would have gotten us. So like, we scaled like crazy, and I don't regret it because we're still here because of it.
Your timing was perfect.
Yeah.
And that too, it creates a question for some artists is like, how do you create or how do you protect your original mission when scaling, right? From
That's such a question, you know? That's such a question. I think you have to accept that you're not going to protect it entirely,
okay.
that there's always going to be a dilution. And this isn't true. This isn't just true for businesses. This is true for us as individuals. Like, can we 100% maintain our childlike spirit that we had when we were 5 years old? Like, the goal is to try to have as much of a child as we possibly can, right? As much of the original energy as we possibly can have. But just the reality of how things are in our physical realm, things just do dilute over time. And so you have to kind of be okay with like, all right, we're not going to entirely keep the mission. We're not going to entirely keep the same vision. We're not going to entirely keep the same spirit. But we're going to hold on to the pieces that matter the most, and kind of pick your battles, and that's a big part of the learning process that we've had with Meow Wolf is like, and we can step back, and if you asked, I think anyone who works at Meow Wolf, are you proud of where Meow Wolf is today? Is it perfect? No, it's not. It's not. But it's not. It's not for any company, right? There's no such thing. Like, no, it's not perfect. Are we proud of where we're at? Absolutely. We're still creating amazing work. We're still employing a lot of artists. We're still, expanding the spirit to other states. You're still doing good community work, good social impact work.
And keeping almost a balance, right? You got to say that, right? A work-life balance? Is there a work-life balance?
There is. We do a great job, and people work their butts off at Meow Wolf. Oh my gosh, we have the hardest working, most like insane projects, and the hardest working people, and the most brilliant creative team in the entire world, if you ask me. But we also, we take 3-day weekends, and we support each other on work-life balance stuff. So yeah, it's
That's
all
good
about
to
that.
hear.
Yep.
Awesome. Well,
I think on that note, we can call it
Awesome.
an interview.
It was a great
thank you
conversation.
so much, Vince.
Yeah, thanks y'all.
Thanks for
It was
coming on
great.
Leaders of Enchantment.
I loved it. Awesome.
Awesome. All right.